Network. You know what? Y'all know I'm a crybaby, but I gotta, first of all, I want to wish everyone a wonderful week. I want you to have Monumental Monday, terrific Tuesday, Wind Down Wednesday, Turnaround Thursday, Fearless Friday, Soothing Saturday, and Summerful Sunday. Well, okay. Y'all, for those who don't know, I'm your host, Jacqueline Charles with the Women Are Worthy Network. I created this platform because I got sick and tired of all the negativity that's going on in the world. And I said, I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. I'm married. I'm also a vegan. And I just love my vegan community. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have the one and only, the vegan Rabbi. When I tell you this man is phenomenal, I don't want to say that I've been stalking him because I don't want anyone coming and arrest me right now because my record is clean. But when I tell you, he was in Atlanta and he was doing a tour, right? And I missed it. I wasn't feeling up to par that day. And when I tell you, I was just so utterly disgusted. I finally forgave myself because he agreed to do the interview. So let's talk a little bit about this man and his wonderful work, right? He's been working in the field of Jewish and Israel education for over 20 years. In 2020, I call him the vegan rabbi. I just love his name. Is it Akiva? Am I saying your first name correctly? Akiva, look at that. This is what happens when you're raised in Brooklyn. Akiva created a social media platform called the Vegan Rabbi, though which he shares Jewish teachings that promote compassion for animals and environmental stewardship to support the vegan lifestyle. Now, I wanted him to come on because I was listening to a lot of things that he was saying, his teachings, and I thought that would help me also in my life and possibly you. Because again, it's all about sharing is caring. So the one and only vegan rabbi, hello, blessings.
Hello, blessings back to you. So good to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real privilege and honor. Thank you so much.
So tell us about your journey. Why did you decide to be vegan, and you're also a rabbi? Because vegan, being a rabbi, let's talk about that, shall we?
Right. So it's not the most common connection or bringing together of two words or attributes. But I did become a vegan some years before becoming a rabbi. And I'll take a very long story and I'll make it very, very short. I basically grew up outside of New York City in a suburb outside of New York City. I do live in Israel now. I've been living here for almost 20 years, but I am from New York. And basically, I grew up in a suburban bubble where, you weren't so aware of the world and people didn't really teach you about the impact of your actions on the world. And when already in high school, I started to sense that there's something happening in the world and maybe things are not as, clean and clear and okay as we were told to think that they were. And in college, it really took off for me. My first year in college, I had epiphany after epiphany, realization after realization about a lot of things in the world, but specifically about how we, through our everyday seemingly innocent actions, are really bringing so much destruction to the world, to the environment, to animals, to our own health, primarily in many different ways, but primarily through the way that we eat, the food choices that we make. And at the end of that first year, I decided, I'm done. I have to be part, like you just said, I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, to the best of my ability. So I was 18 years old. I decided to, one, become an environmental studies major in college. And number two, I changed my diet to a vegetarian diet at first. 1 year later, at the age of 19, to an all vegan diet. And that was coming from literally almost an all meat diet. I grew up eating tons of meat, very little vegetables, if ever, barely a fruit. I mean, it was a drastic and radical change, but I felt something in my heart open up. And I knew I could no longer support those industries that are doing such destruction to the environment and causing so much pain and suffering to the animals. That, and again, it's a whole long story. I didn't grow up religious. I didn't grow up looking like this, I was born Jewish, but not like religious Jewish.
Right.
Eventually, I went on a spiritual journey and was looking for something more spiritually meaningful in my life. That journey, inspired by my environmentalism and my commitment to veganism, actually brought me full circle to Judaism, because I found all these incredible environmental teachings in Judaism and all these animal welfare laws and values in Judaism. And that inspired me to take another look at Judaism, which led to me becoming religious, meaning Orthodox Jew. I kept studying until I studied to become a rabbi. Vegan rabbi came together and was born.
And see, I was drawn to you because where I was raised in Brooklyn, I was raised in the Jewish community, right? So I know so much, where at one point I actually was going to become Jewish, right? But I was practicing a lot of the stuff, the Shabbat, everything, Friday, no certain time. Oh, no. You won't see me till Sunday. So I know, I mean, it was just so, and then I had people kind of adopted me who were Jewish. So I followed the customs. I'm like, I can sit down and tell you all about it. And you're like, are you sure you're not Jewish? So, and, and I just love it. So my question to you is, so you did this because environmental and things like this and compassion towards animals. What have you seen since becoming a vegan, health-wise, environmentally wise, and to your person, to your true self? How has that changed?
Look, I felt that, there was a real alignment with my values. I grew up, I feel like I was a good person growing up. My parents raised me to be a good person, think about others, do good where I could, how I could. But when I realized these things and when I changed my life specifically in terms of how I ate, it was a whole nother level of doing good and trying to be good. And it was, again, a real alignment with my actions and my values. So often, we're human beings. We're beautiful, we're wonderful, and we're also flawed. We're trying our best to be the best humans that we can be. And sometimes we say things, even believe things, but our actions are not aligned with those thoughts and with those beliefs. And I really felt that when I got into this, when I made these changes specifically, it was a whole new level of alignment. And when I started to discover these values in Judaism, it brought it to a whole new level also. I'm like, wow, this is in my tradition. Thousands of years old. We've been saying these things for thousands of years, right? And it just felt like it made a lot of sense, and it felt like the right thing to do. It felt that I was on the right path in general and specifically for myself.
When I talk to people, because I do events and I talk about, plant-based veganism, and people will tell me, but you need to eat this for protein, that for protein. And I says, wait a minute. When Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, what were they eating? Our DNA has not changed from then to now. They were able to sustain and to survive. And I've noticed, because I've interviewed so many people on this show who talk about they've had stage 4 cancer, they've had this, they've had that. Now, again, it's not for everyone. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying if you have stage 4, you become a vegan, all of a sudden you're cured. I'm not here to say that, but I am bringing so many people into my world who, into this platform that are in my world to talk about the high blood pressure, the diabetes, the foods. And when they make that switch, it's not as hard as people think, because it's a lifestyle. And my thing, Rabbi, is I want to be healthy. I'd rather be healthy eating this than having to pay the copay or the deductible or the co-insurance going to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I try to educate people, that either you're going to pay now or you're going to pay later.
Well said. Absolutely correct. I agree with you 1,000,000%. And right, it's taking care of ourselves in a proactive way. Why, God forbid, wait until somebody gets sick, until God forbid everyone should be healthy and well, but why wait? I very recently I've seen, I know people who have gotten very sick, and specifically heart disease. And some of these people have very young ages, surprisingly young ages. And while I'm not a doctor and I don't know the full cause of why this happened, and there's so many factors and can't just choose one thing, I can't help but think, and this is supported by medical research, that the diet obviously impacts what's happening to the body. I literally it was about 9 months ago, someone in my community, a young guy, had a heart attack. It was shocking, right? He's a young guy, like small kids, had a heart attack. Thank God he survived it. A week later, I kid you not, like a week later, I was at a little function, and he came in a little bit late. Somebody, they were serving meat there. Somebody handed him a plate pile high filled with meat. And I just watched this and I was shocked. And this was a friend who knew that he just had a heart attack, handing him this food that, I can't help but think helped to cause that heart attack. Why are you doing that to your friend? And why did he accept it and sit down and eat it? Right?
Yeah. And sometimes I think people feel pressured. Like I tell everyone, look, I survived out of New York. I'm here in Georgia. There's no pressure you can put on me that I'm going to, because I don't believe in peer pressure. But here's the thing, what I've noticed, when I was younger, it would be older people having heart attacks. It would be older people, like the grandparents who are dying. Now it's the younger generation. And you're like, wait a minute, how old are you? Kids playing basketball, and I try to, because someone said to me yesterday, well, Jackie, they're putting stuff in the fruits and vegetables. So I said, but wait a minute, how many people do you know who are eating fruits and vegetables that you heard of? Now, I'm not saying heart attack, diabetes. I am not saying that, but I'm also reminding him how many people are eating processed vegan food. So there's a difference. We got to talk about the processed vegan food too, as opposed to preparing the food. And then this myth about if you eat grapes, you're going to get diabetes. If you eat fruits, you're going to get diabetes. I want to ask you this. What do you feel about the doctors now when patients are going in for surgeries, that they're now prescribing a plant-based lifestyle?
Things are starting to change, right? We're definitely seeing change, which is great. I think it's still absurd that medical doctors study nutrition for such a small amount of hours in the years that they dedicate to learning their field of expertise. But I recently, in Atlanta, when I was there, I met a doctor, this Jewish doctor who was hosting me the night before I was speaking. And he told me that 10 years before he had a heart attack. And he was like 50 years old, something like that. And he had a history of heart disease in his family, and he was really scared that he might, God forbid, die at a young age. And he did all kinds of research, looked into all different kinds of things that he could do, and he was eating a typical, meat-based diet. And he came and he watched, I think, a certain video about health and veganism. Like that, in a second, he realized the light went on, and he changed his diet. He's been vegan shape for 10 years, and now he is dedicating his time to educating people about the health benefits of a plant-based vegan diet. And so, yeah, 100%. It's still slow, I think. We have a lot to do. We have a lot of change to bring, but at least the awareness is growing. I went vegan 27 years ago. It was for the fringe of the fringe people, like the outcasts almost of society. They were the ones going vegan. And now to see how mainstream it has become, and how many products are out there, and how they're advertising the fact that they're vegan or plant-based. It's amazing to see. So there is change. There's still a lot of work to get done, obviously, but I think we're in the right direction.
Because I am not here to browbeat people if they're going to go eat certain burgers that are out there that are vegan or plant-based, because you have to transition slowly. I'm willing to meet you where you are, right? But we also know that for me, I am not going, when they would invite me places, they're like, how do you do this? Since I've done this all my life. I would eat before I go to certain places, or I will bring snacks or a meal if I'm allowed to bring a meal there, right? And because when I go to a restaurant, or they pick a restaurant and it's just lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and then they'll put cheese on it. And I said, no, I'm vegan, no dairy, no cheese. And they're like, oh, I can just pick the cheese off. No, that's not how it works. I'm like, that's not how it works. So I'll bring my tempeh, my protein with me and things like that. So I just want people to understand, I don't usually like saying the word vegan, because most people think like, oh my God, you're one of those, oh my God, PETA type people. No, I'm more towards plant-based, because I think plant-based is palatable to the tongue, because it's the same thing, but it's more palatable. I am not, for me, Rabbi, I don't care if you want to wear leather, do what you need to do, right? In your opinion, that's what you want to do. I'm not going to beat you over the head like, oh my God, you got leather pants on. I'm not here to do that. At the end of the day, I just want people to be good to one another. That's it. And to eat healthy. Now, it's just, I'm just looking at it because I definitely would like to connect with that doctor you're talking about, because somehow when you bring a doctor, an MD doctor, not a DO, people, it's more credible, right? And if you're taking high blood pressure medication for the past 5 years and nothing has changed, and you keep going back to the doctor and you still have high blood pressure, we know eventually your kidneys are going to have issues, right? Why are you doing that? Why not switch to plant-based? I'm just asking. It's not going to affect the drug that you're taking. And then let's incorporate that. Start meatless Monday. Start, try doing that.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I just saw this, I don't know, this post that basically is like a cartoon, and it was basically a doctor talking to a patient who was, having serious health issues. And the doctor was basically saying to him, like, look, for this condition, you have two options. One, get this really intense surgery that will have all these kind of consequences. You'll have to be in bed for this many weeks. It'll cost this much money. Or I can prescribe a plant-based diet for you. And the guy like saying, why such an extreme, remedy? Why would you give me a plant-based diet? It's like it's in our head, like, right, like people are so used to or have become accustomed, like veganism, plant-based diet. Oh, that's so extreme. Don't be so extreme. Let's like zoom out a little bit and look at the bigger picture and what's happening. We're talking about, being extreme, what we're doing to ourselves, what we're doing to the planet, what we're doing to the animals, to God's world, just for the sake of a few moments of a certain taste on our tongues that quickly fades away. Is it worth it? Right? And who's being extreme? What does it even mean to be extreme in this situation?
And I challenge people when I'm talking to them, because they're always, oh, well, can I eat this? No, try smoothies, have smoothie once a day, try juicing. I have like 10 juicers. I hate to admit it, but I do, because I'm addicted to juicers. And like last night, I juiced watermelon. So I have my watermelon juice, and it's just so many things. You just have to think outside the box. There's so many things on social media, so many on YouTube on what to eat. So because of that, that has inspired me to do a plant-based cooking show on Sundays, to start working on that, because I started it and we got a lot of views the first time. And I want to educate people I'm Jamaican, so Jamaican and Cuban, so I'm used to the herbs, the spices, and things like that. So I just want people to understand, love your body, because you're taking this medication, there's side effects. But if you do a plant-based diet or a lifestyle, there's no side effects,
Right. 100%, 100%. I mean, there's so much, again, like we're living in a time that there's been so much medical research, so much support, right, for the health benefits. Even if you just want to think about yourself and you don't want to think about the planet or the animals, just yourself, as we say in Hebrew, dayenu, fine, that's enough, because at least the change will be made, and you'll be bringing more health and as a result, I believe, happiness, right, to your life. And then that will just have the other ramifications, positive ramifications on the greater world. Absolutely.
What do you think is the biggest misconception of plant-based or being vegan?
I think number one, it's so hard. It's how do you do it? And I get it. I'm not judging. I totally get it. When I made this switch, I was like, wait, what do I eat? I only ate meat and bread, basically, and candy. I mean, I grew up on like processed food. So I get it. I think it's but at the same time, I believe it is a misconception, because there's a billion recipes out there, especially in our world today with Google and social media. I mean, it seems like every other post on my Instagram feed these days is like another great recipe. There's so much information out there. There's so many resources. And if you can follow a recipe that involves meat or dairy, you can easily follow a recipe that doesn't. It's about following different recipes. You can have good food, tastes great, and is good for your body, the environment, and the animals. And it's not as hard as people think. But again, I totally understand, because change is hard in general, especially when it comes to our food choices and our lifestyle choices. The second misconception is that it's not healthy, right? I'm going to be missing something bad is going to happen to me. I think that's another misconception, right? Like any diet, so to speak, you have to eat healthy in order to be healthy. You can be, a vegan and eat very, very unhealthy food and God forbid get sick, right? So you have to do it with what they say in Hebrew, seichel, like with intelligence and with knowing. The third thing I would say, though, probably many, many other things, just from a Jewish perspective, is that it doesn't align with Jewish teachings, that it goes against Judaism even. I hear that from time to time from people. What are you doing? You're making up a new religion. Judaism doesn't support veganism, doesn't talk about veganism. And literally in my work, in my vegan rabbi work, all I do is take sources from the Jewish tradition from hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago, and I share them publicly. And I say, look, this is what our tradition is saying about animal welfare, about the environment, about human health. Take all of these ancient teachings and apply it to today. And to me, that equals going vegan.
We have Child of God from Scratch says, just want to say this is awesome so far. Thank you. And we have Craft Romantic. I like that. Craft Romantic said outstanding. Again, you know, we're just here trying to, because there's so many things going on in the world. You can get, you're lost. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what to eat. One day you have something that supports meat. The next day you have something that doesn't support meat. It's so freaking crazy. I am glad I'm the age that I am, that I didn't grow up on social media, that I chose to let me go back and help other people. You know what I'm saying? To make that decision because, okay, let me tell you a quick story. Okay, raised vegan, and what happened to me was I decided to step out, okay? Like I decided to cheat. I come to Georgia and I'm like, what is this red velvet cake? What is this fried chicken wings? What is all of this? I started taking it, Rabbi. I started eating and eating. Now, on the other hand, I'm also into holistic, right? I would go to Chinatown in New York to get my acupuncture growing up. So we were chiropractors from a kid, so that whole thing. So I was having heavy cycle. No, I wasn't having, I started eating all this stuff and my stomach started to get big. My cycle became real heavy. And look, I just got to keep it real here. And I'm like, what's going on? Then I started getting tired. I couldn't walk to my mailbox. I'm like, what's going on with me? And it was just horrible. Still eating. I'm like, oh, this chicken is good. Oh my God, this. So I stepped out and I tell everyone, you know, this is what I did. Stepped out. I mean, my stomach looked, I was 6 months pregnant. My boobs was like, I could sling it over my shoulders, all that kind of stuff going on. With respect, I'm just going to keep it real. So what happened was I started fainting. Didn't know what was going on. I was at church. We had to get an ambulance. It happened 3 times. I had to do an ambulance ride. Turned out I was being anemic because of losing so much blood during my cycle. Okay. Wow. Finally, what was happening was I was getting fibroids because my cycle was so painful. So I go back. So this was like a year and a half. I go to my acupuncturist because I don't know what was wrong with me. I just rebelled. I went to my acupuncturist and she says, it's because you're eating. She said, what are you eating? So I told her, she says, this is what's happening. I was eating chicken. And she said, the hormones, first of all, your body cannot metabolize it. It got so bad that I had to be hospitalized almost 3 weeks. And my body, I have pictures. And I'm glad my husband took the picture because he was scared. We have no one in Georgia. My body was shutting down.
Wow.
And I remember the doctor telling my husband, call her family. When I heard that, I'm like, oh my God. So the medications they were giving me intravenously was creating cholesterol, because I didn't have cholesterol issues. It was creating high blood pressure. And they were giving me all this medication. And I would look like you can stick a pin, like a piñata. I would burst. And I'm like, I gotta take control. Just breathing was so exhausting. And I'm like, I got to take control. And when I told him I want to sign out AMA. For those who don't know, that's against medical advice. And I told my husband, we're leaving. The doctor said she'll be gone within 30 days. Every time I touch that wire, it happens. So they told my husband she's not going to survive. And I'm like, no, I know God. I got too much to live for that I'm going to survive. But can you imagine if I didn't have that much conviction, I would have stayed in the hospital. I'm convinced that I wouldn't be alive today. I know I wouldn't have been alive today. And I'm not going to lie, I was scared. I was praying. I'm like, I know what I need to do. I know the herbs. I know everything. So when we signed out at the hospital, I told my husband, we're going to go to the Cab Farmers Market. And we're going to get fruits and vegetables because my husband's vegan too. We're going to get fruits and vegetables because here His wife is in the hospital. You're being told that she's not going to survive. I know he was wigging out, you know, showing me he was wigging out. I'm wigging out inside. So
Wow.
the farmer's market, I get nothing but fruits and vegetables, watermelon, you name it. But mostly green stuff like celery before the medical medium celery guy came out. This is before then. I'm like, had I known, that could have been me. So I started juicing for 30 days. I started feeling better, round the clock juicing. I went back to my doctor because he said, you need to see your doctor within 30 days since you know, walked out and signed out. I go to my doctor because since they have the same, from the hospital to my doctor's office, they have the same EMR, the medical report that they could read in the system. So she's expecting me to come and she's expecting me to look halfway dead, in my opinion. I get there. She's like, what the hell did you do? You look like you're full of life.
Wow.
And she took my labs. A week later, they came back. My cholesterol was great. My blood pressure was great. And because she's looking at it, she's asking me. So then prior to that happening, the doctors were telling me to have a hysterectomy. And I'm like, I don't have cancer. I'm not doing a hysterectomy. They're like, that's why you're having heavy cycles. You need to do a hysterectomy. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. And I was scared. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. My sisters and them never did it. I'm not doing it. I refuse to do it. And I haven't done it. I have not had a horrible cycle since then. I am just, yeah. And then it was just crazy because even my teeth was like getting darker. Everything was shutting down. And I don't bleach my teeth. I don't do any of that. I just brush my teeth regular. And I've noticed when I follow what I need to do, my teeth gets whiter and whiter and whiter. And that's my story that I share with people because my husband, and he took a picture with me in the bed. And I'm like, oh, so this man wants to get an 18-year-old to replace me. So he wants to take a picture of me in this bed. You know, I was making fun about it. But when you see the pictures of me in the bed, it's horrible. So when I do presentations or events or speaking, I put it up on stage. And people are like, who is that person? Yeah. So that's my story that I share with people. So today I'm like, look at me, you know, and yeah.
Thank God. Thank God, as we say. Baruch Hashem, as we say. Right? Yeah. I mean, you know, obviously there's such a direct correlation between what we put in our bodies and how we feel and what happens to our bodies and what happens to the world and what happens to the other life forms and creatures that we share this world with. It's such an obvious connection. And, you know, just the awareness of that connection just needs to spread and spread, like you said, only in a loving way, not in a harsh or intense way, not in a judgmental way. To share this more and more and to model it, right? To show people that I could be happy, healthy, thank God, eating this kind of way. And just on so many levels, on the physical, the emotional, the intellectual, and the spiritual, we're doing such a kindness to ourselves and to the world. So amazing story.
And that's what we want people to understand and then I bring so many people on the show. This guy had stage 4 cancer and he's on social media now doing big things. And you see him in the hospital and he talks about things when men have prostate cancer, what they go, and he's the first man that I've ever heard from soup to nuts what happens when you have prostate cancer. I was shocked at the things that he talked about that no one talks about. It's one of those things like it's too much TMI, but we needed to hear that. No clue. And now when you look at him, he's like the juice master and he's now showing off his 6-pack and stuff like that. You know, so it's just, for me, it's just important because we don't know what's going on in the world today. We don't know what other plan of attack is out here for us, right? We don't know. So we just have to be healthy. I just want everyone to live an optimum life. Where do you see yourself in the vegan community in the next, let's say, 4 years?
So I want to share these teachings more and more. You know, I just came back recently from the speaking tour in the States, which was such an incredible opportunity and blessing to do. I meet so many people in the Jewish world who either are vegan already or vegetarian and don't know about these teachings that support a vegan lifestyle, or they're very well versed in Judaism, but they don't understand or they're not aware of the ways in which Judaism supports going vegan today. And there's so many teachings, and I want to share that in the next 4 years, please God, B'ezrat Hashem, as we say in Hebrew. I really want to share these teachings more and more, connect to more people, both over social media, in person, speaking, writing, videos, classes, podcasts, interviews, just really, really continuing this work and really spreading this message. Please God, I want people to really realize there's so many teachings, but I'll just pick one. That if you look at Judaism, yes, Judaism does allow the eating of animals. It's there. Permission was granted. But like you said, with Adam and Eve, the very first diet in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, God gives the first diet to Adam and Eve, and it's a purely vegan diet. And that diet will last even after they get kicked out a few hours later of the Garden of Eden, they're still vegan. That diet still sticks all the way until the generation of Noah, after the flood, and only after the flood, right, was the permission, not the obligation, the permission given to eat animals. And why is that? According to some rabbinical figures and leaders, it was a concession, a temporary concession, because of the lowered moral and spiritual level of humanity. That's why there was a flood. The flood was a punishment. It was a reaction, God's reaction to the moral and spiritual low level that humanity had reached. So that permission was given, was not an obligation. Okay. Eventually, Judaism, comes about and becomes, a religion on the world scene. And the only time that the eating of animals was ever an obligation was in the temple that stood in Jerusalem 2 different times. Also, the tabernacle before that, whatever, total of about 1,200 years. There were certain sacrifices that had to be partially consumed, without going into all those details. But outside of that, there hasn't been, and still isn't, an obligation to eat animals. And this idea that the whole permission to the allowance to eat animals was a concession, was a temporary concession, and that the original diet was the ideal diet. And according to some rabbinical figures, we will return to that diet, all of us, all of humanity, in the future, when we finally get the work done and fix this world.
Let me tell you something about yourself. You are such a phenomenal storyteller. If there's and the facts that you bring and the credibility, if there's anything that we need to do to support you, I'm letting you know I'm here to support you. I'm your sister out here to support you, because we want people to get better. We want people to heal. Because think about it, when you are healthy, you feel good, you look good, you speak good. And here's the thing, when you're vegan or plant-based, you're now your mind is not as foggy. You want to speak good things because you don't want to have the forked tongue. Okay, I'm eating healthy food, but I'm gossiping and I'm doing that. Your whole outlook change towards life, your whole lifestyle. It's like a switch that happens in your body. For me anyway, that, okay, I want to do this. I want to help the environment. I want to mentor more. I want to speak more. I want to talk more about relationships, where I'm putting myself more out there because I want people to understand. Child of God from Scratch says, I believe we will all return to, it's just a matter of time. Amen. It's just a matter of time. So let's start now.
That's exactly what I say. I mean, in Judaism, it is such a strong value to help fix this world. We call it tikkun olam, to do what we can in our day-to-day lives to bring more goodness to the world and to bring the world to its complete fixing and its intended state, right? So if there's something, like you said, if there's something that we know we're going to get to in the end, and that's going to be a reflection of a more fixed world, of a completely fixed world and a perfected world, why not do that already now to help that future come about quicker? We can bring the future now by living that ideal already now. What a beautiful way to help the world advance and reach its intended goal.
And for me, being more tuned into plant-based lifestyle, I've realized I'm an empath. I've realized, and I tell people I've unplugged. That's why I love the Matrix. People don't understand how deep the Matrix is, right? Because I spoke to the creator of it. And I say I've unplugged out of the Matrix. I'm not running around the hamster wheel. And before I was the age that I am now, I didn't give a crap what anyone thought about me. I have to continue walk down the road that's less traveled. It gets lonely sometimes. I've had friends who don't want anything to do with me because I eat weird. Or if we go to a restaurant, I take extra long ordering because I have to ask. So what I do is, if I know we're going to a particular restaurant, I'll go on the website, look at the website, especially if they say they're vegan, to save time. That's what I do. But they're like, oh my God, here she goes again. So I decided to not surround myself around people like that anymore. That's what I've decided. I'm okay with creating new family, creating new friends, because I want to live. I'm selfish. I want to live long. I want to have a productive lifestyle. I want to live long to see what the earth is going to look like, to look back at my life, to see what I've accomplished, what I've done. I'm not ready to go anytime soon. So, yeah.
Amen. To be blessed with a long life and a healthy life. Amen. Amen. 100%, 100%. And again, I think one of the greatest things we can do, and one of the most beneficial things we can do, is simply model this ideal, model this value, be the change we want to see in the world, right? And I remember recently, this past year, I was at synagogue on Shabbat morning, and after the prayer service is over, so we sometimes have what we call a kiddush, like people hang out and there's food and we hang, And at this specific kiddush, meat was being served. And obviously, I just took my vegan food from whatever was there, and I was walking around talking to friends. And I went over to one of my friends who I'd seen. I haven't talked to him in a while. So I went over to him, and he had on his plate, he had some of the meat that was being served. And literally, as I came closer, he saw me, and he put his hand and he covered the meat that was on his plate. And he hid it. And he's like, I don't want you to see this. Right. And it was such a powerful moment for me. It was just I'm just coming over to say hi. I'm not coming over to talk about what you're eating or judge you, God forbid. But that's powerful that you reacted in that kind of way. Right. I mean, that's deep. That's really beautiful. Right. And may that sink in deeper and deeper for the next time and, future time that you're moved not to take that and to take the plant-based food from the table. Right. I mean, I think people are good. Inherently, people are good. They're nice. They're kind. They're compassionate. They want good things for the world. They want good things for their health and their family and their friends. So it's just about taking that value and bringing it into their food choices, right? Into what they eat, what they purchase, what they serve on their table, what they put in their bodies.
And I come from the old school where I don't care how would it taste like. I want it to taste good. But if you're taking black seed oil and stuff, people are like, oh my God, it tastes nasty. Okay, so what about you're injecting yourself with insulin every day. You're doing this. So I just look at the bigger picture, because either it's feeding your disease or it's helping prevent the disease, right? No, every food. So that's how I look at food. Everything I eat now, water, okay, it's hydrating me. Coconut water, it's hydrating me. If I drink that soda, what is that? And I'm not a soda person anyway, but what does it do? What does it do that I'm eating it? And I think because of all the additives, whether it's the hormones or, now they're making fake things to look like real food, whether it's plastic rice and it's supposed to be, it's a lot. But what I love, and I read, and please correct me, I heard Israel is the #1 spot for veganism. Is that true?
Oh. It is true. Per capita, Israel has they just came out with this year's number. So we were number 3 on the list as a country per capita. But Tel Aviv as a city has been deemed the most vegan-friendly city in the world. There's tons of vegan restaurants, tons of vegan food. In fact, next week, once again, there's an organization, company in Israel called Vegan Friendly. They do amazing things. And they put on a vegan fest every year. Last year, I actually spoke at it about veganism and Judaism. It's a 3-day vegan fest, and it's the biggest in the world. And it's unbelievable.
With foods and everything?
Vegan food galore, speakers, vegan food tech, music, thousands and thousands.
When is it? What month is it usually?
It's usually in June. Yeah, let's get you a plane ticket and you'll come over here for it. It's usually in June, mid to late June.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I got to put that on my list.
3-day vegan festival.
Oh my God. That's heaven for me. That is heaven. Oh my goodness.
Right.
And in closing, how can we support you? What do you need from the community? Because I say, hey, you want to join our tribe, you must subscribe. How can we support you? How can the listeners, the viewers, how can they support you?
First of all, thank you for inviting me on. This has been amazing. And I really, really feel blessed to be here and speaking with you. Second of all, thank you for asking that question. That's just already tremendous. I think, simple ways, follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Vegan Rabbi. Number two, spread the word, share with other people. I'm constantly putting out posts and reels, sharing this information. So share this with your friends, repost whatever you can. Number three, let's just get bigger and bigger. I'm planning my next speaking tour to the States, so I'm just starting the first steps of the process of reaching out to people. I would love to come to your community. I'm looking at the camera now. To your community, I would love to come and speak in your community and share these teachings in your community and spread this important knowledge and information and collaboration. This talk that we're having right now is amazing. I love collaborating with people, and so really just share connections, suggest connections, and let's keep this going. Let's get this bigger and bigger, wider and wider. This is crucial. Like, this is for the health and future of everything we know to be, of the planet, of creation, of humanity. This isn't just like, oh, that's nice that you do this. No, I don't want to sound too intense, but let's be real. Like, we can be real also. This is life and death right now. This is life and death for the future of our world. And I want to share that with as much love and compassion as I possibly can. But we also need to be very straight up and real and tell people that this is not a joke, and we don't have all the time in the world. And we need to take the teachings of our ancient traditions, the wisdom of our ancient traditions, and apply it in ways it's never been applied in order to bring about a world that will, one, continue and will heal itself of all the damage that we humans, unfortunately, have brought to it.
I want to thank Child of God from Scratch, because they mentioned, thank you, Jacqueline, for making this powerful connection and hosting this guest. You've been a bridge connecting so many people to key figures. That's what I'm all about, because people really connect with me when they hear women are worthy. I had a dream. I do women empowerment. I'm married 34 years this year, so I talk about relationships and things like that. I didn't like women because the things that I saw, I couldn't stand them. Okay. And then I'm like, I had a dream, and God's like, nope, you won't work with women. I'm like, no. He's like, yes, you will. I said, no, you're not listening to me. I'm not doing it. And then some things happened. And I used to train doctors. And then I remember him saying, you're going to quit now. Because I kept telling him, this is during the time I was being hospitalized. I said, okay, God, if you get me healthy, I'm going to work with women. Get discharged, go back to work. I'm not working with them. Get sick again. I say, okay, God. The second time, he said, the next time you come out of this hospital, you're going to come out in a body bag. Wow. I was in the hospital, and I text all my bosses through text, effective immediately, I resign. I still have the text. I spelled effective wrong, and I also spelled immediately wrong, 1 M's. And I'll never forget. And I quit right then and there. And I said, okay, God, what you got for me? I'm walking it. You said walk by faith, not by sight. Well, I'm doing it now. So what you got for me? He's like, I'm not going to bring people to you that you think. And when I tell you, he's been amazing culturally. He's been phenomenal, bringing people into my space, allowing me, meeting beautiful women. I've fired a lot of my healthcare practitioners, and I have a lot of women around me. And I'm like, I thought I didn't like what I love the energy, because I believe in energy. And he has brought the right people in my space. Now he's like, I need you to take this on the road. I need you to speak. Women are hurt. You can talk, because I'm a survivor of sex trafficking. You can talk about that and show people who you are, what you've done. You don't have, this is what healed looks like. You don't have to wear your scars on your arms because you have none. I am taking you, my child. And I've been a little nervous about that. And he's like, no, in order to do what you need to do, I need you to be elevated. So for me, I have no secrets. What you see is what you get. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I welcome collaborating. Anything that you're doing, you want me to post it, I have no problems, because Rabbi, it's not about me. It's about our people. If you're a man or a woman and you're looking to live a positive life, that's what it's all about. I don't care about color. I don't care about all of that. I care about how can we help you to live a good life. That's it.
Amen. 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 Amen.
But I'm digging you. You're going to have to come back. You're going to have to come back. Okay?
I would love to come back. I want to say you are such an amazing and beautiful person. Baruch Hashem, thank God. You should be blessed. God should continue to bless you with so much health, so much strength, so much vision, so much compassion, so much energy, and really just keep doing what you're doing to make this world a better place, because you are.
And that's all I'm doing. And by the way, before we go, I want to tell you, I just got a text. The judge just approved your adoption. So you're in the family.
Wow. Right.
You're in the family. So without further ado, we want everyone, please go to his page. Please go to his page, and I posted it. Let me post it again. I want you to please follow him, because he's doing amazing things on Instagram, on social. He's doing phenomenal. Please reach out to see if you can get him to come into your city. Because again, we want people to live. What you're doing is you're eating death. You're eating death. Start eating life. If you're speaking life into yourself, start eating life into your body and things like. I feel like I'm preaching right now, but that's what we want. Please support him. Please support me as well. If you want to join our tribe, you must subscribe. And without further ado, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Women Are Worthy. Don't forget to subscribe, like our page. We have so many amazing things going on. And, so that's about it.